I noticed that I was a bit different to most people, and I was shamed for it. So I did not want to be different. I wanted to fit in, so I learned to hide who I was, to hide in the closet. But by the time I got to my late 20s, I was so tired of trying to be something that I'm not. I realized that I had to find the courage to speak my truth, even if my voice wobbled. I had to come out of the closet and proclaim that I am, without a doubt, a lover of rom-coms. Who here loves rom-coms? Who here likes rom-coms but is too embarrassed to admit it to certain people? That one? There's a half a hand. Maybe too embarrassed to admit it right now. Why is that? Why are there so many people too embarrassed to admit they love a good romantic comedy? Can anyone give me any reasons that you might, yeah?
Too corny, too cheesy.
Too cheesy, too corny. Anyone else? Any other reasons?
Too emotional.
Too emotional, that's a good one, yeah. Well, don't worry, it's a new day, it's 2018, and I'm here to tell you you don't have to feel ashamed anymore. Today we're going to look at 4 of the common beliefs that contribute to this silly stigma so we can remove it once and for all. So the first common belief is that rom-coms are dumb. They're stupid. Rom-coms are so often underestimated due to interpretations of their denotative rather than connotative meaning. In other words, literal or emotional, rather than emotional. But when we carefully analyze a good romantic comedy, we find they're actually rich in semantics, diversity, and substance. I'm using some fancy words so that you can see that rom-com lovers aren't total airheads. But what I'm saying makes sense. So often we believe a common opinion because there's an element of truth, but if we dig deeper and ask different questions, we actually find different answers. So are rom-coms intelligent? Rom-coms are emotionally intelligent. Our society values academic intelligence so much more highly, and yet academic intelligence, or studies have shown that IQ specifically only accounts for 20% of success. The most determining factors of success are actually social and emotional intelligence. So don't judge a book by its cover. Just because rom-coms are pretty, it doesn't mean they're stupid. So the second belief is that rom-coms are chick flicks. They're not for men. This one's so silly. I've got a few secrets to tell you. One of my ex-boyfriends, his favorite films were The Wedding Singer and Girls Just Want to Have Fun. A good male, straight friend of mine, his favorite TV show is Sex and the City. And a guy that I dated one time, him and his mates had what they called rom-com Sunday, where all the boys would sit around on a Sunday afternoon, hungover, and watch romantic comedies. It's not just that it's not that rom-coms aren't for men, it's just that our definition of masculinity needs a little updating. This archaic view that men are simple, violent, cavemen is just so outdated. And we're finally embracing men as, or the true definition of masculinity, as expressing both masculine and feminine sides confidently. So I assume every man in this room, like every woman, has a heart and the capacity to love, right? And everyone likes to laugh, or most people do. And love and laughter is romance and comedy. Case closed. The third common belief is that rom-coms are uncool. Who made rom-coms the dorky kid at school? They get picked on for being too cheesy, too corny, too sappy. And most people do actually like them, but they're too afraid to admit it for fear of being picked on. What are we, 12? Why are tortured artist, violent, abusive, cynical films the cool kid on the block? Do we actually like them, or are we just falling for peer pressure? I remember when I was in high school, I pretended to like the film Pulp Fiction because I wanted a boy to like me. And I memorized one of the monologues, and it had a lot of swearing in it. And I thought it was very cool, and so did he. But he ended up dumping me anyway. So it was a total waste of time. Why are Tarantino films the cool kid while Hallmark Channel films get teased? Who made hate edgy and cool, but love soppy and dorky? Who did that? Maybe we could think about the production company that was behind some of the violent films like Pulp Fiction, Sin City, and The Hateful Eight. Does anyone know which production company made all those films? It was the Weinstein Company. Maybe we should be calling Tarantino films a guilty pleasure instead of rom-coms. We left school so long ago. Who cares what's cool? Just watch what feels good. So that brings us to the final point, which is that maybe violence feels more comfortable than intimacy. So many people watch hours and hours of violence on television, but then you put a super sappy Hallmark Channel scene in front of us and we're like, oh, my eyes, my eyes. According to this reaction, it seems our biggest fear isn't violence and death. Our biggest fear is intimacy. Why does intimacy make us feel so uncomfortable? We know that romantic comedies are therapeutic and nourishing to our soul, and films that are disturbing and about rape and violence and suicide, not so much. And yet, they're considered more artistic and they're more likely to get an Academy Award. I think the Academy has some intimacy issues. Why do we find corny so unpalatable, but violence totally digestible? There's this misconception in society that anger and violence and hate is strong, and that love and vulnerability is weak, when it's actually the total opposite. So many people are absolutely terrified of being emotionally exposed, but studies have shown that just like exercising a muscle at the gym, the more we practice being open, loving, and vulnerable, the stronger we become. So we've learned rom-coms are emotionally intelligent. They're for men and women, for sure. They are, who cares if they're cool or what's cool, just watch what you like, what feels good. And that love is stronger than hate. So don't be rom-com phobic, don't be that guy. Come out of the closet. Be one of the out and proud ones and wear your love for rom-coms on your sleeve. And watch how many people around you follow your lead. I have a dream that one day all films will be created equal. I have a dream that one day my future children will live in a nation where they will not be judged by the films they choose to watch, but by the kindness of their character. I have a dream that one day men will be free to rave about his favorite Hallmark Channel film without being shamed. I have a dream that one day, I'm going to cry, sorry. All people will feel more comfortable with love and joy than violence and pain.
Yeah.